Welcome to season 3 of the Red Shoe Realty Podcast. I'm Stacey Sappington, the broker owner of Red Shoe Realty, and this podcast always has and always will be for the agents to give you all the tools that you need to succeed in this business. And today, I'm very excited because I have with us my husband, and he's also the owner of 223media, a digital marketing company geared towards real estate agents. So welcome, William, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, if you've been around me at all, then you've heard me say that as an entrepreneur, you should find the things that you're good at and the things that you enjoy, and you should outsource everything else. And I'll tell you, when I started Red Shoe Realty, I knew that social media is not one of those things that I'm good at or that I enjoy. And so if it wasn't for 223media, Red Shoe Realty would not have had any social media. And so, this relationship has 223media has been supporting Red Shoe Realty since inception for 2 years. And so if you take a look at Red Shoe Realty social media, you'll see that it looks fantastic. It's consistent. The branding is there. It's lovely. So one of the first thing I want to talk about, this is one of the biggest things that I learned from working with you, is that using platforms, two things, LinkedIn and podcast. So let's talk about LinkedIn first. Tell me why you were adamant in the beginning, like you have to be on LinkedIn. And I wasn't. I was pretty much dormant there. Talk to me about LinkedIn and why it's so important.
Well, before I got into helping you with your real estate business, as far as supporting it with all the social media content, I used LinkedIn professionally myself back when I used to, coach football years ago. So it's the biggest business platform out there. And so for transactions like real estate, it just made a lot of sense to have a presence there. So that's why I was adamant about it, because at the end of the day, getting around the professionals, because you're a broker, so you're not just looking for deals, you're looking for people. And so real estate agents, people who might be interested in joining Red Shoe, and that element is what upped the game for jumping on LinkedIn and not only being on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, which are the platforms that most people think about. And a lot of people even leave out Facebook, but Facebook has the demographic that matches buyers. So and that was my struggle, is I could only handle one platform, so I had my personal Facebook and it was somewhat there. But to think about a business page and a LinkedIn page and an Instagram and then a podcast, gosh, let's talk about a podcast. This is season 3 of the Red Shoe Realty Podcast. I remember, and actually, you know what? I'm going to give props right now because the podcast was your idea. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And so here we are, season 3, episode 1. And I think a lot of people think that podcasts are really hard and, just really hard to get going. But talk about the podcast and your thoughts on podcasting.
Well, podcasting is one of the fastest mediums growing. I don't have any stats on that, but we all know that you can feel that that's part of it. So, and there are lots of platforms. Really, the technology is what really allowed me to really realize that it's not as hard. But I'm a researcher, like to find technologies that make our lives efficient. You know that from Red Shoe, and being able to not only do things well, but do them quickly.
And fun fact, Top Tech Tuesday, all you.
Yeah, well, it's everything that we do is fun. We're married, so there's that element that exists in our life. It's fun working with you. It's fun working with Red Shoe Realty and watching it grow. And I knew nothing about real estate. I tried to do a real estate license, but failed miserably. So it was never my thing to sell real estate, but to be a supporting entity for someone like you who's absolutely brilliant when it comes to selling real estate and negotiating and all those things I listened to you do, it affected me. So I just want to tweak it just to make this, foundation better so we can, move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, podcast.
Podcasting. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know what, let's talk about the difficulty of starting a podcast.
So the difficulty is actually getting the gumption to actually go ahead and do it. That to me is the hardest part. I think that once you get past the anxiety of not knowing what a podcast actually is and what it takes to do it, then I think that if you're halfway comfortable on a camera, you'll have a chance to get into it faster than someone else who's not comfortable on camera. This is my first podcast ever. I've never been on camera and never really wanted to be on it, but I realized, hey, if I got a business, people probably should see my face. And what better way to do it than to launch it on the season 3 of Red Shoe Realty Podcast?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the hardest part is just deciding to do it, because honestly, the technology is easy. We use Zoom, we have the video, and you do your magic and, make it nice and consumable and nice to consume.
Yeah.
But it's not hard. It's very simple, actually. It's simple, but not easy, right? It's one of those.
That's a perfect way of putting it. And I'll say this, I'll throw a technology piece into this so people can understand what to look for. Substack is a platform. Well, number one, YouTube is the biggest. I mean, everybody knows the whole world watches YouTube. Okay. So YouTube is a place where, and YouTube is easier to use than it used to be. It was really difficult for people who know nothing about coding and nothing about stuff a long time ago. Now, all you got to do is copy and paste or drag a video into it and you're good, right? So it's a lot easier now than it used to be. So I think anyone can do YouTube. And then Substack, which is, I'm advocating for it because it's not well known, at least not that I know of, amongst real estate agents and brokers, but trust me, that's the place you want to be, because you can do not only the podcast, you can do videos, you can put newsletters, and you can send it all to your audience. And then lastly, Anchor, distribution, all one place to distribute everything all across your social media platform. So by having that distribution and having the foundation, and then having someone who can guide you through it, then that to me is I think the benefit of knowing that it's not as difficult as you might think it is.
And see, the thing is, as a realtor or as a broker, that's not my area of expertise. I mean, I know that all that's simple for you, but for me, it isn't. So having a professional that can take my video. So all I have to do is schedule my people, which I do through Calendly. So this technology is all over it, and then record it, and that's it. And so you don't have to be an expert in technology or editing or what have you. You just need to be an expert in what you are an expert in, which is real estate and your area of town and your, whatever your niche is. And so I love that, because it allows me to do what I'm good at and what I enjoy and outsource everything else. And so the effect of that is that, the social media has been great. Okay, so let's see here. Let's talk about branding. That has to be in the conversation, right?
It does, yeah. And honestly, I never knew what branding was, even when we started doing Red Shoe in the beginning. But over time, the last few years, I realized that branding is just your identification, where you would hope people could see a symbol, a representation of your company or your business, and be able to know it's you just by looking at it. So that takes less words and more kind of capturing people's attention. And honestly, having social media is really more about moments. It's not about people studying you. I mean, some people may dive deeper into you if you're more interesting, or solve problems for people. But I think at the end of the day, it really comes to just someone just identifying you with a symbol or logo or something, and knowing it's you, and that being something that people are interested in. That's what branding is to me.
Yeah. And when I think about branding, I think about it's your face, it's you, it's, however much you're willing to share of you, that's what your branding is. And that's why I talk about video so much, is because video lets people see more of you. They get to see your facial expressions and your body language, and all of those things are so important in your branding and who you are, the energy that people feel from you. To me, that's your branding. So it's me standing here with my face. It's also my social media. It's also the sign that's in your yard. Like, it should all feel the same,
Yeah.
But it's so important. And that's why I love video so much, because it lets people see, so much more of you.
Well, you've always been an advocate for video in the beginning. I've been an advocate because you're an advocate. But people do want to see you. I think people do want to know who they're dealing with if they're going to pay you anything. So I think that having that kind of, humanity, along with some pretty cool looking graphics or some really cool taglines or a very interesting and problem solving posts, to me, those are all great things to have. But in the end, your brand is you. I do agree with that. I when it comes to what I do, and as far as the graphic stuff, it's a mix and match of both your face, video, static graphics, all kinds of different things for different reasons. But the combination to me is important. It's like diversity, right? You want to have diversity, diversify your portfolio. Isn't that what they always say?
Yep.
Same in social media, diversify it. Let it be different. Let it solve problems for multiple things. And the decision to stay in real estate was not a difficult decision, but I had to think about it because I can solve problems for a lot of people in different areas. I'm not scared of genres. But since real estate kind of have its ups and downs naturally, I figure, well, let me attach myself to real estate like you, and then solve problems for this niche and be part of their cycle and part of what they do. And so when the real estate market gets hot, I'm sure social media will get hot too. Those things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're curious about the packages that 223 Media offers, you can check them out on the website. You've got your seller package, so different posts for going on the market, getting under contract and sold. But first and foremost, creating the actual assets, the look and feel of your social media post. So check it all out. It's all there on the website. You can reach out, schedule a call with William if you would like to chat about any of those packages or if you have any questions. And you know what, speaking of the account management, I just want to touch on that really quickly. This is one of the things that I love, because when I have a listing, I don't have to trigger anything. I don't have to request anything. I have him set up on an automatic search. So the minute that I put a listing on the market, 223 Media gets an email. And then when it goes under contract, same thing. And when it's sold, same thing. And so those triggers are built in. And so you can literally hand it off and take your hands off of it. And that has been such a beautiful thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too, because, when you get a ding through your email that says listing, that I know exactly what to do. There is a foundational piece to get to that point, because there is like this initial kind of like, all right, who do you want to be? What do you want to look like? How many listing, where are you at? What's your volume? Things like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the first conversation. Once we get past that, which is not a difficult conversation to have, actually, you can fill out a form. I can get most of the answers I need from you. But then call to action, and then it's time sensitive. You don't want your listing to go, be posted, a week later. What I'm saying? It's time to get, and also too, working with you, I kind of know the ins and outs of how important things are to people when it comes to promoting their properties. So there's an urgency there that this part of my process. That's why it's important to build those templates early. And then there's also the evolution. Things change, people change, attitudes change, brokers change, agents change. So there's flexibility that I understand as far as being part of 223, as part of being part of Red Shoe Realty. it gives me a unique insight into dealing with real estate agents because I've dealt with you for so long.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm so happy to share this golden nugget because I know that this is a struggle for other agents, not just me. And so reach out to William. And thank you so much for listening in. And I'm sure you've noticed that season 3 looks a little different thanks to 223 Media. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.